So I have been forgetting to do this, and I'm going to be very cautious in how I speak. I'm not sharing this live. It's more for a recording. So if you watch this, listen closely. We know that ever since Charlie Kirk, CK, lost his life, that there's been a whole subterranean right-wing femboys, groper, all kinds of weird stuff, red pillars, incels, and things that have such a hate for women that they have basically worked on feminizing other men, hence the term femboys. And this to me is very dangerous because the gender wars that we've all been watching on the surface is not as insidious, because it's in our face, as what's been going on in the shadows. So in Afghanistan, okay, when the Taliban was allowed in, I'll just put it that way to be respectful, Afghanistan has a culture. It is a problem. Again, I have a big problem with some of these Abrahamic religions for many reasons. But anyway, they will feminize boys. Now, the LA Times had done a 1-week article on what that meant. Okay? Many of our soldiers went to Afghanistan and saw this. And of course, being good old red-blooded American boys, right, and young men who had seen what had happened in 9/11, they were gung-ho for justice and freedom for all, right? Obviously, right? And so they got to see how Afghanistani men were treating women, because during that time there was a top surgeon. She was the best surgeon in the entire country. And she was made to wear I forgot. It's a whole system where you can't even see the eyes. You know how usually there's a slit with a hijab? I mean, you could not see the eyes. She could not continue to perform surgery. So, oh yeah, go ahead, perform surgery. But she couldn't, obviously, because even her eyes were covered. Okay. Now, in the last year or so, we've heard that women are not allowed to even speak. However, I highly recommend you look up dancing boys in Afghanistan, because there you're seeing what you would see in San Francisco for the gay pride parade. I kid you not. Midriff tops, eyeliner, makeup, false lashes. They even pad their front. They even pad their chest to look like they have a woman's chest. And they dance for the Afghani men. Now, this is not to point out any type of racist ideology at all. It's to say that the infiltration of energetic frequency that is based in the corrupted root chakra, right, is pollinating, if you know what I'm saying by that, pollinating our planet. They won't allow a woman to perform surgery. They won't allow a woman to come out of her home wearing, her hair has to be completely covered, not even a strand can be seen. And now they've made it a law so that a woman can't even speak, not even in her own home. But it's okay to have dancing boys. And they will corrupt these young boys. Just pick an age, and you're probably correct. And when you see these dancing boys of Afghanistan, this is a video that came out in, I think, 2012, but you can look it up for free on YouTube. I believe it's on Netflix. These incels in America, and I'm sure in parts of Europe, obviously, and these red pillars and these gropers and these right-wingers that have decided to fetishize males into becoming more feminine, growing their hair, wearing makeup, midriff tops, being sexy, and using, because they don't have the balls to look across a woman with some respect, because they don't have the balls to actually make love to a woman. They don't have the balls. They don't. I find that absolutely insidious. And for the last 2 days, if you've been following my live, if you're catching up on my lives on YouTube, you know what I'm saying. I've been saying that women are getting less and less safe in this culture. So I love how people keep pointing to a certain group, a religious group. But it hit me that we're dealing with that right here, where these incels and these red pillars are so angry at women, so hateful at women, that they would prefer, kind of like those Afghan men with their little dancing boys, they would prefer feminizing a boy than to learn how to be fucking grown men. It's shocking to me. It's disgusting, it's revolting, and it's dangerous. And I was talking to about that, not about this whole thing, because he's not that kind of guy. He's more like a conservative boomer. But he was saying, well, women are, they're like da da da. And I went, no, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of women that are fucking giving us a bad name. I agree, but we don't. If you get your general female, your basic pedestrian female, on the streets with no spiritual compass, I don't think she's going to hate men the way your regular pedestrian male with no spiritual compass hates women. So what do we do about it? What do we do? Well, we're going through the ascension period. We're doing that. But when I tell you that the root chakra is fucked, do you get what I'm saying? Here. If you don't understand what I mean, let me go a little further. Sexuality is a power. Sexuality and the big O is the Big Bang. Big Bang, do you know what I mean by that? The universe was created with a series of big bangs. The planet supposedly was created by a Big Bang. The big O is a Big Bang. This is why we have sex magic. Sex magic is a way of using the big O for you to bring about what you want. This is done in dark spaces and light spaces. What does that mean? It's people who are spiritually in the tantric community and I'm not talking about neo-tantra, by the way. I'm talking about pure, ancient, Vedic tantra. And then you have people in the occults, in the deviant spaces of dark black magic, who also use it. Okay? So, sex magic is powerful. And how you fantasize, and what you or how you sweep, or however you feel during the act, whether you're alone or with somebody or somebody's, right, will impact your world around you. Do you understand? This is why porn has been used so widely to control the masses. This is why OnlyFans girls are making, okay, some aren't successful, but many of them are clocking 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month, fuck, 4 million a month. And this is something that your average woman won't buy. Your average woman won't do. Your highly spiritual woman won't do. Your religiously devout woman mostly won't do. But men in all of these categories will do and do. And this is a problem because you're not holstering your root chakra. And I keep saying it again and again. You are owned. You're owned. And for us to have these young men corrupt themselves, and I'm not sure how this is happening. Again, I hate video games. I fucking hate them. And the reason I hate video games is because I know how video games, when they first were coded, were made to help you with anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Back in 1999, 2000, video games, there were like certain video games that were used by psychologists to help with your ADHD, your anxiety, things of that nature, right? Unable to study, unable to focus, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now it's coming to me. What are they doing on these video games that are like, as the person's playing the video games, it's seeding them with other information. subtle information, right? Coded into the software. When I used to buy, in the beginnings, when my son was 8 or 9, I used to buy him video games. But I made sure they were fun games or racing games. But I was on a mission not to punish him and make him not play. By the time he was 8, by the time he was 10, he sold all his video games, because every time we bought a little cartridge, I would say, sweetie, can you look at the back? What does it say? He'd say, can cause seizures. I said, okay. What do you think that means? He'd say, it could hurt my brain. I go, yeah, it could make you actually have a seizure. Okay, lose control of your brain. Lose control of your body. So I'll buy it for you because I don't want you to, but I'm not going to force you, okay? But I want you to one day decide. I'm not going to force you. And one day at the age of 10, he came up to me. We were having a garage sale, and he said, I want to sell all my entire video game. And he did. He kept the money. So what's my point here? My point is, I haven't looked at video games because I'm not on the market. I've never been in the market, and I'm not sure. And this is your job, okay? It's your job. I'd love it if you could report back, or even do your own content based on what you know about video games. Because I feel like not only are video games offering other worlds, right? Which is fine. No one wants to fucking be here. I get it, okay? I'm not going to fucking bullshit anyone. But what are they saying? What are they seeding in the background of those video games that is corrupting these men to want to feminize a boy, you know, a young 19-year-old or 25-year-old, to grow his hair long, to look more and more like a girl? By the way, that's jail shit. It's what men do in jail, okay? So why is jail culture coming into our daily life? That's number one. Number two, are video games doing that? Number three, it's a pollination of the 100 monkey theory that's happening into the root chakra of men. Why is it important? So you understand what's happening to your man. When he can't be honest, when he's asking you real weird shit sexually that you're like not comfortable with, but you do it because you're afraid to lose him, disappoint him, whatever, right? Women do this shit. Let's not bullshit each other, okay? And not all women, but many. And so these conversations need to be had, because somehow, some way, we women are going to have to start coaching, mentoring, training, talking about this very thing. The pollination of this deviant shit, because it's deviant, I'm sorry. And it's deviant because, you see, with Afghanistani guys were like having dancing girls, but they also like girls, and and there was a whole normal culture. I wouldn't give a fuck. But that's not what's happening in that part of the world. They hate women. And if they could find a way to have babies without doing it with women, if they could have robotic systems, I'm not being funny at all. It's Brave New World coming to truth. Okay, I'm not joking. Read the book Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, where everyone's in a capsule in gestation. Okay? And the way they create alphas is they give them all the oxygen. The way they create betas is to cut off the oxygen for a couple minutes throughout the day, so that the brain doesn't develop. So they have betas, you know, a slave group. So if those men could actually get rid of us, they would. In a heart, they'd be like, oh yeah, let's get rid of these women. The level of hate for women is we better take it seriously. And you guys who love women, you guys who are actively engaging in trying to change this scenario in this storyline, please get involved. I mean, if you guys are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you know you've been raised on video games, talk about it. Think about it. Sit and watch the video game and see how you feel, and then meditate and see what downloads are given to you. I'm not joking. Something's going on. It doesn't make sense. Okay? Now, when my father, and when we lived in Algeria, okay, in the 1960s, okay, I remember my father telling me there were brothels only stocked with that other, you know, BOYS. So my question is, what the fuck has been going on? Why is this happening? And when we, again, it goes back, this is what I've been studying, the Mary Magdalena Yeshua template, to find out why would they destroy that template of divine union? Why would they lie to us? Why would then come up with, the Franken kings and the French kings got the bloodline? Like why? So it's convenient for you now. It's convenient that, Mary Magdalene was and had Yeshua's child, and now you motherfucking kings. Now I'm a descendant of, I have that bloodline in me, like that ego, lip smacking bullshit. It makes me angry. Because on that side note, I debunk it. There's no way in fuck if she went in, and if they both came out of that fucking country that almost damn near took his life, let's say he survived, that they would ever, they would have lived in secrecy. Because as I said before, Rome owned all of Europe into North Africa and the Middle East. All of it. So it would have never been safe anyway to allow any bloodlines to commingle with royal blood. It was never going to happen. Even later down the pike, like 1,000 years later, it would have never been safe. That's number one. So it's a debunked. It's an egoic bullshit story. It's like me saying I'm a descendant of Cleopatra. Good luck. But this term that you're seeing on the screen, because I did is Bacha Bazi. Look for him. Like, do a Google photo search. It was on YouTube. Look him up, because he said that when they went into Afghanistan, I remember this actually, where they tried to stop the essay of boys. They'd say, how old are you? And 16, I'm 16, and 16, okay, of these would do what they were going to do. Essay on children, teens, and women is so fucking common, and we've allowed it. We've allowed our governments to turn their faces away and to go, well, it's their, and that's what Obama said, it's their culture, back down. Apparently one soldier, I think a group of soldiers, beat the fuck out of a man, which you would at the time in 2002, 3, 4, you would expect an American soldier to beat the fuck out of anything like that. That's called normal fucking red-blooded American shit. He's a man. He loves women. He wants women. And he's seeing this kind of fucking behavior. Beat the fuck. And apparently he was jailed. And so all of these American soldiers who were there were told to stand down. And they were forced to witness it and not lift any fit. Can you imagine hearing the cries? And how mind fucked. So a lot of these guys that came back are fucked. They won't even talk about it because I'm sure these things haunt them. But yeah, go on YouTube and check this shit out. Because we as women who are raising sons, we better stop this fucking, I would never let my kid play. Eventually at 10, he sold everything. He still plays, what does he play? Oh yeah, he plays race car, because he loves Grand Prix, Monaco, this and that. And he doesn't do it every day. He does it probably every 10 days. He'll do it just for the fuck of it. And he was telling me at 18, he was seeing he was doing Air Force shit because his father loved anything that flew. And I remember him saying, yeah, I was 18 and suddenly I saw them talking about booming Egypt and booming other places. And he went, oh yeah, fuck that. Okay? So these games are insidious. They're there to teach WAR. And to dehumanize people who look a certain way, who wear turbans, who wear long tunics. So you could say who look like Jesus, long beards and long tunics and barefoot or sandals. I'm just saying, how ironic, right? So the root chakra is what the problem is for many of these men who are asleep. Actually, even the ones that are in 4D are fucking unaware of what I'm saying. I think the only brother that I think would understand what I'm saying would be a grown-ass man that's probably been celibate here and there, who I would say this to him and he'd go, oh, fuck yeah. He'd get it immediately. Because he's been working on healing his root chakra through containing himself here and there, learning how to use sex magic with himself and refining any putrefaction that is stuck in his root chakra, just like many of us have. We have putrefaction. We have calcifications. We have deviant shit that was never ours, that we picked up here and there. Do you understand? Dropped from making love to fucked up people who we didn't know they were fucked up, and we were too innocent, 17, 18, 19, too kind of naive to realize maybe I shouldn't go to bed with this guy. Maybe, they're going to drop some shit in my root chakra and I'm going to have to fucking detangle this shit for a year or two, or maybe in 10 years later. I'm not joking. They found the DNA of men in female mummies' brains. Every person you've ever slept with is stored. The DNA is stored. As women, we're amazing. We're fucking amazing, okay? But it comes with a price to be that amazing. And that means, and I'm really starting to realize this more and more, and it makes me cry. I want to fucking cry because this kind of language, this kind of let boys be boys and turn your head and let it go and whatever, is destroying the template of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. There are too many fucking women right now in grief of their runner, boyfriend, lover, divorced husbands, dead lover, he dies, twin flame, high-level soulmate or otherwise, who are celibate. There are too many extraordinary women who are too young to become celibates because no other man will do. Not because they're stubborn, because there's no connection. And these men who are running from incredible sexual union with their beloved are being stained, energetically stained by the 100 monkey theory of how these deviant creatures that are out there all over the world doing these weird ass shit, turning them out, turning boys out that probably grew up heterosexual, who are now dancing and for their meals, dancing perhaps to survive, dancing because some warlord is forcing them to dance because for whatever reason. Do you understand? And now they have to feminize themselves, and eventually the brain wiring gets so shut down from what they were originally born to be, a straight man, for example, or bisexual man, for example, that it destroys a human being, destroys who they are. They're wearing a mask that eventually, let me put it that way, they're flowers in fields. You get what I'm saying? We're talking about Afghan. If you know anything, you'll know what I'm talking about. There are flowers in the fields that produce H. You don't think these young men eventually just go, fuck this? So that also procreates a 100 monkey theory pollination of self-harm. We need to start connecting the dots and having really hard conversations with our boys, our brothers, our uncles, our fathers, and our lovers. It's gloves off. Gloves, take your fucking gloves off. I don't want to talk to my dad about his sexuality. It's so creepy. You better find out what he's into. You better say, Dad, I need to know what this is. I've always thought you were bisexual. Are you? Because I'm not kidding. People know about their parents more than you think. And these secretive little fucking family dark secrets are so fucking sick that it's corrupting the family lineage. It's corrupting other males remotely or closely, whatever you want to, It's like we need to have the fucking courage to look into the darkest hallways we've been taught never to open. Fuck talking about getting the bathroom remodeled. Fuck talking about a stupid morning show. Fuck talking about ridiculous conversations that go nowhere. I think it's time for us to have real conversations with everyone in our families, every one of our friends, and go, why sexuality? Because sexuality is your foundation. And if your root chakra is fucked up, you're a fucked up human being. You're absolutely fucked. And they know it, see? The elite know everything I'm telling you. They know this. Why do you think they control it? Oh, I'm just going to meditate on my top chakras. I'm going to work on my third eye for the next 30 days. No, it will never work. It will never really work because your root chakra collapses again and again. Might as well, build castles into sand. The waves come in and the castle is destroyed, and you do it again and again. This is why for incarnation after incarnation, we have failed to ascend. Because our religious dogma told us to be ashamed. We were born in sin, shit like that. Meanwhile, born in sin, look at what you guys are doing. Catholic Church, let's be celibate. Wink, wink. Are you really celibate? There's something wrong. I remember reading about Aspasia, who, by the way, trained, I'm trying to remember if it was Socrates or Aristotle, I forgot. But anyway, she was a courtesan. She became Pericles' lover and his main squeeze, okay? They probably were twin flames, honestly. But I remember that while she was born and while there was a height of courtesans, they were very much like the geishas. Geisha, but in the courtesan world of Greece, they were taught how they knew languages, they knew how to recite poetry, they could sing, they could play the lyre, things like that. And they were taught to be great debaters and great thinkers because they were brought for their beauty at the tables with guys like Aristotle, Plato, those kinds of guys, right? Warriors, statesmen, emperors, and they would have these long tables and they would dine and they were entertained by the beauty of these courtesans and entertained by their smart, witty conversations. Aspasia was that. But that period in Greece lasted 100 years, where women were revered for a moment in time. But before that and after that was pedastry and the other one, mostly pedastry, which is, boys, teens. And that was considered normal. So when we talk about the dehumanization of women, which in the Greek time, why? Where did they learn to dehumanize? I mean, I could see the Bible, because the Bible talks about, Eve was evil and blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine, got it. Okay, but that's only 2,000 years. So, but why Greece? Where did people learn? At what point did men learn to fear and hate women? And I have to say that that's got to go back to the draconians, reptilian agendas. It's got to be. It's got to be because when I do Akashic records on the Anunnaki, I don't see that. I actually don't see the feminine sex of that group. In fact, I've yet to see feminines in other planets, in other species, be treated less than. I've actually seen polyamorous planets, and I've seen matriarchal and patriarchal. Well, no, actually, I haven't. No, you know what? I've seen the matriarchal one that I remember seeing, where the woman could have two men that she could love, and it was absolutely pleasant. It was actually fine, whatever. No one thought twice about it. However, I did see, like, what would you call barbarian planets, but the feminine were equal to the masculine, kind of like the Klingons, you know what I'm saying? So all I can figure is that after Atlantis fell, right? Because, again, Atlantis, you don't see that either. When you look back on Atlantis, you do not see the women and the men thought of as in balance. The fuckers that destroyed Atlantis, there were women and men involved in equal measure. Whereas when it collapsed, I think there was still a remaining energetic field of equality between the male and the female, and then something fucking just broke. Now, they first talk about it during the oracles of Delphi. I've mentioned it again and again and again, where the oracles of Delphi were high priestesses in Greece that would give downloads of what they saw, the future. They would say, yes, you are the future king. things of that nature, right? Like Merlin was doing that, when they found the Excalibur sword and Arthur pulled it out and he was, they all knew he was king just based on that. So the oracles of Delphi was that way until something broke. Because at a certain point, the kings, emperors, warriors went from revering these priestesses to at sword point saying, you will say this, this, or this, or you won't live another day. And eventually the oracles of Delphi lost their reputation, probably because, people realize, oh, they're being manipulated. They're being harassed. They're being told to say what they need to say. But we have to kind of start looking at what we can do as women. And I think many of us have been men in various incarnations, and we've returned as women to right the wrongs that maybe we have done on those past lives, to be blunt. But I think that we need to seriously take in hand the changes we seek. And if you're blessed to have good men around you, or at least one good man, to have this conversation about creating, content, whether you narrate content or whatever, to make people aware that this is not something that you turn away from. Because it's one thing for somebody who is trans to choose to be trans, to choose it. You know what I mean? Like, I like wearing dresses. I love makeup. It's my thing. That's one thing. But what's happening in some of those parts of the world is definitely not chosen. But at the same trajectory, and again, we always have to fucking be careful navigating to be politically correct. And it's like, fuck, stop. Something's wrong here. Incels, red pillars and black pillars. Apparently there's different fucking pills. I didn't know there were that many. My son was telling me there's all kinds of different pills. There's even a purple pillar. There's all kinds. Did you know that there's tons of pills that men take, apparently, that they about how they feel about women? That they've complicated it so much that they get so comfortable not being able to talk to women, that they're so busy sexualizing anything that they find attractive rather than separating sexual desire from conversation, that they don't know how to act around women. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And it's getting worse and worse. I was telling this boomer guy, it's getting worse and worse and worse. When I was a young girl, sure, I was ogled. Sure, I was, harassed, ogled, yoo-hoo, all that shit, yes. But if a man came up to me and said, for the most part, can I get you? And I'd say, no, I didn't get harassed the way I'm seeing young girls getting harassed, and then insulted, and then threatened. Okay? Every blue moon, and I talked about it in one of my lives, where I had to literally call my fiance, my husband, who became my husband, I had to call him to fucking come because it was outrageous. But I think I had that happen maybe 3 times in my whole entire life. And now I'm seeing young girls who are literally unsafe, minding their own fucking business in a park. So you've got men who hate women asking women out, who hate women. And the question bodes, and it's a good question, what kind of women are raising these kind of boys? What kind of women are raising dangerous young men and dangerous men? And it's not a joke. Because if most women are single mothers, how the fuck is this happening? Who's raising them? Thank you. You totally agree. Yeah, it is sickening. Thank you. So I think it's really important to ask these kinds of questions. And it's not to put you on the spot. I've fucked up as a mother. I have. But I repaired it. And I still repair. And I work on repairing. We can't be sitting on our high horse egoic throne. We have to repair. We have to be involved in raising these boys into beautiful young men. This is why I tell many women to read Raising Cain, Protecting the Emotional Life of Boys. I tell women to read it. Whether you're raising a boy, making love to a man, or had a father, read the book. That book I dog-eared and underlined and read I think I must have read it 3-4 times to understand what I was responsible in raising into the world. And I still failed, and then I repaired it. Does that make sense? So I'm not telling you I fucking, kicked ass and really did well. I still fucked up. And so the thing about being a mother raising these, these children, these little boys into men, is that we have to be willing to fucking eat crow. And to say, I fucked up. And we have to be willing to look at our earlier years and how we saw men. And to be honest, this is why I understand young women who hate men. Okay? But they don't hate men the way men hate us. I'll tell you that. Because you see, they can't harm a man, but a man can harm a woman. Okay? I mean, the way a woman can harm a man is 1 in a million. The way a man can harm a woman is millions. It's different. Are there black widows out there? Barracudas? Yeah. Are there a lot of them? Not as many as men. And weak men make dangerous lovers, make dangerous fathers. They're dangerous. And we're raising weak men. That's why they grow up resenting females. They're weak. They're putzes. They're boys. They never grew up into manhood. And that's the problem. And at some point, it is too late. You can't, once a boy is 25, 27, 28, and he's still fucked up, that's a very hard thing to undo. But you can undo it when they're teenage boys. You can be vulnerable. And if the boy tells you, you humiliated me, or you did this, or you fucking listen. Listen, because we women, we're the ones breeding. I'm going to put it that way. And we are releasing a lot of boys that become dangerous, weak men. Now, in toxic patriarchal system, so like Afghanistan, clearly those mothers don't have a shot in hell. They have no influence. They have no power. They have no control. And every year it seems to be getting worse for these women. And so that's the pollination. But in the Western world, okay, where many of us are holding jobs and buying our own houses and taking our own bills and raising our boys, we have girls, but our boys, we're not doing well. We should be doing better. So we've got a 2-path attack going on right now. Let me see here. Sadly, today's feminine believe weak men are the safest. Literally, I kid you not, even though it's actually strong men who are opposite. Yeah, no, strong men are good. Strong men are people that you can trust, but weak men are the ones that harm women. More likely to harm a woman. You're less likely to survive a weak man. And what is a weak man? Well, it's a man you would call a simp. It's a beta male. And it's a beta male who I'm just going to say it, I'm sorry, who plays computer games, who is withdrawn, who's not comfortable around the female sex, who doesn't have a spiritual compass, who very much prefers to go indoors and do everything on a computer, does not know how to hike, is not curious to go out into nature. For most of these weak men, that's what I see. I'm sure there are some weak men that hike, of course, hello. But what I'm saying to you, there is a model. There is a sense of a model. So you women who are raising your boys to just stay in front of a computer, you're not doing your boy a service at all. Your boy should be climbing trees, building forts outside with wood, with leaves, with tarps. it helps them learn how to create and how to think creatively, okay? But weak men will raise weak men. So who you have children with is really important. Like, you have to have a child with a strong man. And I don't mean a strong man who's a misogynist. Clearly, a strong man who loves his mother, loves you, and maybe has other deficits in him that make you eventually divorce, but hopefully, right? Because even the best situations with the infrastructure as it's set, there are stresses in these day-to-day lives that will destroy marriages. The best of marriages can't survive, which is fucked. So I'm not gonna lie to you. But at least, fuck, if you're gonna have a child, have it with a fucking man who you know is a man. And hopefully you know what the fuck that means. Yeah, something, where is this going on? When the Charlie Kirk, death happened, and this whole, because if you're on TikTok, you'll see there's all these femboys coming out talking about the femboy computer game subculture of subcultures, or right-wingers who are straight, supposedly straight, who hate women, it's insane. It's fucking, the psychology, I wish some of you psychologists would come out and start fucking doing content on this shit, because this is not normal. I'm sorry, I'm not even sure why this slid under the radar for so long. This is insane. Leaving the option to come speak with me. Leaving the option to come speak with you. What does that mean? It's a pandemic. Of course it is. I personally, if I was a woman, a young woman right now, in this timeline, there's no fucking way I would tolerate it. I probably would become celibate out of choice. I'd be like, I'm not dealing with these fucks. There's no way, to be honest. But I know there are really amazing men. I know because I work with them, for one. And I know because I've met them here and there. And I know because it is what it is, I mean, it's really, like, don't lose hope, because you don't need 20 men to date. You just need one. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so that's something I want you to just don't lose hope. Personally, me, I would probably lose hope, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, but I wouldn't lose hope if I were you, because in your case, all you need is one man. All you need is one good man that you eventually meet. That's fantastic. That's all you need. You don't need fucking 20 guys. One of the things I was telling this guy, we were talking for a while, is that you don't need, the other thing is dating, this concept of getting dressed up and dating. It's really a waste of time, because really what you want to do is you want to learn who this person is. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't break bread and have a meal with someone who I don't trust. I don't want to get to learn them while I'm wearing a cocktail dress. I was telling you the 3 times I went out on a quote-unquote date, I was like, how old was I? One of the situations, I was 19, I was 20, and before that I was 17 and a half. So 17 and a half, 19, okay. So let me tell you what happened. When I was 17 and a half, the guy was a multimillionaire. He was the kid of a multimillionaire. He was amazing. It was a group of us. We were all dating each other. I was dating him. And he paid for the whole meal for everyone on the table. He was a multimillionaire. The second time, how old am I? I'm trying, well, it doesn't matter. I think I'm 19 or 20. I'm trying to remember. The guy forgot his quote unquote wallet. I ended up paying for it. He never paid me back. The third time, again, he didn't have his money. And they were putzes. When I finally met the loves of my life, the 2 men that I ended up having these long-term relationship, we never dated. We went out and hung out. We hung out and talked. We hung out and took walks in the park, public parks. It was safe. Things of that nature. And eventually, when we established a relationship, that's when I dressed up to the nines and he would take me out to dinner. Okay? That's when it started happening. When we were in a committed relationship, when we were exclusive to each other, is when we started. And it wasn't something we discussed. It just happened organically like that. But we got to know each other. My twin that I met when I was 18, we hung out for like 2 weeks on the beach. We never, and then when I finally came into union with him back, in 2014, at that point, yeah, we went out to dress up and we would go out to dinner or lunch or whatever, right? We would do that. But my point is, this whole kind of culture of going out and getting dressed. It's like, I don't even know you, dude. I don't want to dress up for you. I want to get to know you. Let's do a cup of coffee and a walk in the park. And pretty much I'll know within an hour whether or not I want to continue this. I mean, to me, eating a meal is something I want to do with someone who I trust. I can relax, in my opinion. So that's my advice to you. But in terms of these men who are so dangerous, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I just wanted to share that with you. I'd forgotten about these dancing Afghan boys. But then when I started putting it together with the femboys that are here in this country and how these supposedly straight men, and that's the thing. But then when I started putting it together with the femboys that are here in this country and how these supposedly straight men, and that's the thing. Straight men have a weird rule in their minds. And what I love is a lot of the LGBTQ are doing, these guys who are transitioning, or are femboys, are talking about how these straight men, supposedly straight men, hook up with them. And some of the rules that they have to make sure that they're still in their minds straight. Instead of capitulating to the truth that they're probably bisexual, or they're probably completely in the closet and they're gay. And the fact that it's 2025 and we still have men playing games about their gayness or their bisexuality is shocking to me. It's shocking to me. It's like, fuck, stop. You're harming yourself. You're harming society. Just come out of the fucking closet so women can make decisions of whether or not they want to be with you. Just be honest. And this is something that these men supposedly are not being honest. They're lying by omission. They're straight up lying. And they're lying to themselves. And they're denying that they are having those experiences with men. I can tell you a story, and I have so many, it's insane, but I'll tell you one where a girl, I had a client, he was 27, he'd been badly abused, SA'd when he was a little boy. And so he could not hug, he could not receive pleasure, but he could only give, okay? You got the picture, okay? So he was friends with a guy who was supposedly straight, okay? And they were friends, they were hanging out, blah, blah, blah. And his wife, the guy's wife, let's call it the straight guy, Jim. Jim was straight in his mind. And he was into bodybuilding, this and that. And Toby, we'll call the gay guy, Toby, who couldn't ever establish any relationship. He was always the hookup. He was always the booty call, okay? The wife was getting really anxious, and just because he wasn't picking up the phone, because they were, Toby was taking care of business for, Jim. And so she knew he was cheating, because women always know. They always fucking know. But Jim would put the phone on FaceTime, and she would be seeing Toby on the couch with Jim. And in her mind, she was like, maybe I'm being paranoid. Like like, why did I think he was cheating? Well, because girl, he was, but he was doing it with a boy. He was doing it with a man. And that mind fuck, because to me, this is abusive. It's the ultimate in gaslighting. Is that what it does to a woman who has massive intuitive instinct, okay? Is that she will second guess, and eventually she will completely destroy her psychic abilities will be completely fractured. Okay? So on a psychic level, on a karmic level, what Jim did with Toby and what Toby did with Jim, and giving her the impression that there was nothing wrong here, we're hanging out, we're watching the ball game, we're good, on FaceTime, look, I'm not lying, I'm with Toby. Massively, karmically abusive, and creating an entangled web of karmic debts that are insane. So it's not like I haven't heard about these kinds of storylines and so forth. I had a client who knew her husband was a bi, and he would live in San Francisco, and he would take they had an open marriage, not by her choice. By the time he told her the truth, right, she was already pregnant with their second child. So that was a problem. You know what I'm saying? And the marriage continued, and it continued and continued. So, transmax, right? Leaving the option. Okay, so that is problematic. You know what I mean? Because, and so when people lie, I'm just going to say straight up, when you lie about shit like that, you are creating so much entanglement, karmic entanglement, and debts that you will have to probably incarnate for a while to clear that shit up. And I'm telling you this because the only way to clean this shit up is to be transparent and to repair the lies. And either the person is going to forgive you, or it's the end of the soul contract and it's time to move on. But that is worth it. Because the other option of lying and having a second lifestyle and not telling the person you're with, and to lie about it, just in general, lying about hiding it and just acting like you're straight and when you're fucking not, is actually, you're fucked. You're fucked. I could see when Oscar Wilde was examined and put in jail, and his whole entire career was destroyed, and he died in poverty in France, in Paris. There was a reason why people lied. There was a reason why we had lavender weddings. There was a reason why people had duplicitous life. They had to. It meant their very survival, because they could be destroyed. They could be harmed. They could be killed. This is not it. This is not the case anymore. This is not the case. Do you understand? And so when you don't tell the truth, when you're not honest with yourself, you create, you can meditate on them until the cows come home. You're creating a fracture, and you're creating a fracture that will last a while. So I would say to you that if you are very knowledgeable about that world, and also I would ask, video games, what do they put in there? I mean, I'm not kidding. I don't have a clue. I don't know what's in there. I know that when 2002 happened and people were out there, I remember seeing footage of guys listening to rock music or whatever you want to, in that part of the world. And it felt like a video game to these guys, because they had been doing those kinds of video games. War games are video games. And so all they had to do was put on their headset with the rock music, and everybody they came in, it was a dehumanization and a complete annihilation and a destruction. So I would caution you, all of you, with these video games. And I would ask myself, is it seeding certain things in my subconscious that it gets activated when I'm faced with anything that might be violent? Do you understand what I'm saying? And so there's a lot to think about. So hopefully you can check it out. Again, the show, it's Bacha Bazi, is again what it stands for is the Afghani. It's a cultural thing where boys are feminized. They become dancers. They're recruited forcibly. It's disgusting. At the age of 9 years old, and you can just look this up on YouTube and you'll see examples. You don't even have to go on YouTube. Fuck it. I wouldn't spend too much time on it. The visuals will shock the fuck out of you. And this is a perfect country to look at as a template of how dangerous this is, because the contrast of how they hate women is unhinged. So hopefully, you'll look at that. The other thing is, this also explains why certain parts of the world, and at this point, the whole world, I would say, has a essay culture when some kind of civil unrest happens, and we're seeing massive, egregious examples of that in the Sudan, in the Congo, with the Palestinians, 2 men, 2 boys, 2 women, and 2 girls, and Europe. And this root chakra fracture must be taken care of. We must take it seriously. Those who are awake, those who are healing or healing facilitators, those who are influencers, we need to start talking about it so that people become massively aware and conscious and sensitive to it, to shift the energy so that we could create an egregore of tantric healing energy across the planet. That's basically the message of this live, okay? Sending you much love on your journey. I'll go ahead and update this. I'll post this on my YouTube channel, Sacred Intimacy Tarot. Check it out. I think it's important. And I think it's time for us to stop being fucking shy about these kinds of conversations. All right, be well.